in general, I'm a supporter of Bitcoin and the idea of cryptocurrency in general. It can improve the efficiency of the information system that we call money.
If you want my body and you think I'm sexy, come right out and tell me so.
Elon Musk is South African-born American business magnate, industrial designer, and engineer. He is the founder, CEO, and chief engineer of SpaceX, early investor, CEO, and product architect of Tesla, founder of the Boring Company, and co-founder of Neuralink. Musk is also a co-founder and initial co-chairman of OpenAI. His net worth of over 200 billion is making him one of the richest men in the world. What he has to say about money, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, success, and what is his advice for you, find out in this video. Also, if you like the videos we share with you, make sure you click that subscribe button for more videos.
I mean, I think the cryptocurrency thing is an interesting approach to reducing the error in the database that is called money. You know, I think I have a pretty deep understanding of what money actually is on a practical day-to-day basis because of PayPal. And right now, the money system, actually, for practical purposes, is really a bunch of heterogeneous mainframes running old COBOL.
Okay, you mean literally? That's
literally
that's literally what's happening
in batch mode. Okay,
in batch mode.
Yeah, I pity the poor bastards who have to maintain that code. Okay, that's a pain. That's pain.
Not even Fortran. It's COBOL. Yep,
it's COBOL. Like, and the banks are still buying mainframes in 2021 and running ancient COBOL code. The Federal Reserve is like probably even older than what the banks have, and they have an old COBOL mainframe. And so now, the government effectively has editing privileges on the money database, and they use those editing privileges to make more money whenever they want. And this increases the error in the database that is money. Crypto is an attempt to reduce the error in money that is contributed by governments diluting the money supply as basically a pernicious form of taxation.
So both policy in terms of with inflation and actual like technological cobalt, like cryptocurrency takes us into the 21st century in terms of the actual systems that allow you to do the transaction, to store wealth, all those kinds of things.
Like I said, just think of money as information. People often will think of money as having power in and of itself. It does not. Money is information, and it does not have power in and of itself. Applying the physics tools of thinking about things in the limit is helpful. If you are stranded on a tropical island and you have $1 trillion, it's useless because there's no resource allocation. Money is a database for resource allocation, but there's no resources to allocate except yourself. So money is useless. If you're stranded on a desert island with no food, all the Bitcoin in the world will not stop you from starving.
Yeah.
So like I said, just think of money as a database for resource allocation across time and space, and then what system in what form should that database or data system, what would be most effective? Now, there is a fundamental issue with say Bitcoin in its current form, in that the transaction volume is very limited, and the latency. It's the latency for a properly confirmed transaction is too long, much longer than you'd like. So it's actually not great from a transaction volume standpoint or a latency standpoint.
Some people suggested you might be Satoshi Nakamoto. You've previously said you're not. Let me ask.
Not.
You're not, for sure. Would you tell us if you were?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think it's a feature or a bug that he's anonymous, or she, or they? It's an interesting kind of quirk of human history that there is a particular technology that is a completely anonymous inventor or creator.
Well, I mean, you can look at the evolution of ideas before the launch of Bitcoin and see who wrote, about those ideas, and then I don't know exactly. Obviously, I don't know who created Bitcoin for practical purposes, but the evolution of ideas is pretty clear before that. And it seems as though Nick Szabo is probably more than anyone else responsible for the evolution of those ideas. So he claims not to be Nakamoto, but I'm not sure that's neither here nor there. But he seems to be the one more responsible for the ideas behind Bitcoin than anyone else.
So it's not perhaps singular figures aren't even as important as the figures involved in the evolution of ideas that led to a thing. So
yeah,
it's perhaps it's sad to think about history, but maybe most names will be forgotten anyway.
What is a name anyway? It's a name attached to an idea. What does it even mean, really?
You mentioned that Doge is the people's coin.
SpaceX and Tesla and myself all did buy some Bitcoin, but it's a small percentage of our total cash and near cash assets. So not all that significant. I also bought some Dogecoin, and Tesla accepts Dogecoin for some merchandise, and SpaceX will do the same. And I intend to personally support Dogecoin because I just know a lot of people who are not that wealthy who have encouraged me to buy and support Dogecoin. So I'm responding to those people, just people that when I walked around the factory at SpaceX or Tesla, they've asked me to support Dogecoin, so I'm doing so.
Because Dogecoin, I think, has come down a lot. It's down about 80-90%, or it's down a lot, and that's the reason why you came out and said that you still thought there was value there.
I said I support Dogecoin, and I'm doing that.
Part of the reason why I think there's some merit to Dogecoin, even though it was obviously created as a joke, is that it actually does have a much higher transaction volume capability than Bitcoin. And the cost of doing a transaction, the Dogecoin fee is very low. Like right now, if you want to do a Bitcoin transaction, the price of doing that transaction is very high. So you could not use it effectively for most things. And nor could it even scale to a high volume. And when Bitcoin was, started, I guess around 2008 or something like that, the internet connections were much worse than they are today, like order of magnitude. They're way worse, in 2008. So like having a small block size or whatever is, and a long synchronization time made sense in 2008. But to 2021 or fast forward 10 years, it's like comically low. And I think there's some value to having a linear increase in the amount of currency that is generated. So because some amount of the currency, if a currency is too deflationary, or should say if a currency is expected to increase in value over time, there's reluctance to spend it because you're like, I'll just hold it and not spend it because its scarcity is increasing with time. So if I spend it now, then I will regret spending it. So I will just, hodl it.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's some dilution of the currency occurring over time, that's more of an incentive to use it as a currency. So Dogecoin, somewhat randomly, has just a fixed number of sort of coins or hash strings that are generated every year. So there's some inflation, but it's not a percentage base. It's a fixed number. So the percentage of inflation will necessarily decline over time. So I'm not saying that it's like the ideal system for a currency, but I think it actually is just fundamentally better than anything else I've seen, just by accident.
And Tesla owns Bitcoin, SpaceX owns Bitcoin, and I do personally own a bit of Ethereum and Dogecoin, of course.
Elon, you are reported by Forbes and everyone else as now, the world's richest person.
That's not a sovereign. I think it's fair to say that if somebody is like the king or de facto king of a country, they're wealthier than I am.
So, but it's just harder to measure. But what people do, so $300 billion, I mean, your net worth on any given day is rising or falling by several $1 billion. How insane? How insane is that?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you handle that psychologically? There aren't many people in the world who have to even think about that.
I actually don't think about that too much, but the thing that is actually more difficult and that does make sleeping difficult is that every good hour or even minute of thinking about Tesla and SpaceX has such a big effect on the company that I really try to work as much as possible, to the edge of sanity, basically, because Tesla's getting to the point where probably will get to the point later this year where every high quality minute of thinking is $1 million to impact on Tesla.
There are many other people out there who can't stand this world of billionaires. Like they are hugely offended by the notion that an individual can have the same wealth as say, 1 billion or more of the world's poorest people.
If they examine I think there's some axiomatic flaws that are leading to them to that conclusion. If for sure it would be very problematic if I was consuming billions of dollars a year in personal consumption, but that is not the case. In fact, I don't even own a home right now. I'm literally staying at friends' places. If I travel to the Bay Area, where most of Tesla engineering is, I stay I basically rotate through friends' spare bedrooms. I don't have a yacht. I really don't take vacations. So it's not as though there's that my personal consumption is high. The one exception is a plane. But if I don't use the plane, then I have less hours to work. So
I personally think you have shown that you are mostly driven by really quite a deep sense of moral purpose. Like you've tried your attempts to solve the climate problem have been as powerful as anyone else on the planet that I'm aware of. And I actually can't understand, personally, I can't understand the fact that you get all this criticism from the left about, oh my God, he's so rich, that's disgusting. When climate is their issue, philanthropy is a topic that some people go to. Philanthropy is a hard topic. Like how do you think about that?
I think if you care about the reality of goodness instead of the perception of it, philanthropy is extremely difficult. SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink, and Boring Company are philanthropy. If you say philanthropy is love of humanity, they are philanthropy. Tesla is accelerating sustainable energy. This is a love of philanthropy. Right. SpaceX is trying to ensure the long-term survival of humanity with multi-planet species. This is love of humanity. Neuralink is to help solve brain injuries and existential risk with AI, love of humanity. Boring Company is trying to solve traffic, which is hell for most people, and that also is love of humanity.
It's like, how upsetting is it to you to hear this constant drumbeat of billionaires, my God, Elon Musk, oh my God. Like, is that, do you just shrug that off, or does it actually hurt?
I mean, at this point, it's water off a duck's back.
You're a father now of 7 surviving kids, and
well,
like,
I'm trying to set a good example, because the birth rate on Earth is so low that we're facing civilizational collapse unless the birth rate returns to a sustainable level.
Yeah, you've talked about this a lot. That depopulation is a big problem, and we
yes,
people don't understand.
Population collapse is one of the biggest threats to the future of human civilization, and that is what is going on right now.
What drives you on a day-to-day basis to do what you do?
I guess, I really want to make sure that there is a good future for humanity, and that we're on a path to understanding the nature of the universe, the meaning of life, why are we here, how do we get here, and in order to understand the nature of the universe and all these fundamental questions, we must expand the scope and scale of consciousness. Certainly, it must not diminish or go out, or we certainly won't understand this. So I would say I'm motivated by curiosity more than anything, and just a desire to think about the future and not be sad, you know. And
are you not sad?
I'm sometimes sad, but I'm feeling, I guess, relatively optimistic about the future these days.
If we think about young people, what advice would you give to them about if they want to try to do something big in this world, they want to really have a big positive impact, what advice would you give them about their career, maybe about life in general?
Try to be useful. Do things that are useful to your fellow human beings, to the world. It's very hard to be useful. Very hard. Are you contributing more than you consume? Can you try to have a positive net contribution to society? I think that's the thing to aim for. Not to try to be sort of a leader for the sake of being a leader or whatever. A lot of the time, the people you want as leaders are the people who don't want to be leaders. So, if you can live a useful life, that is a good life, a life worth having lived. And like I said, I would encourage people to use the mental tools of physics and apply them broadly in life. They are the best tools.
When you think about education and self-education, what do you recommend? So there's the university, there's self-study, there is hands-on, sort of finding a company or a place or a set of people that do the thing you're passionate about and joining them as early as possible. Which trajectory do you suggest?
Well, I encourage people to read a lot of books. Just read, basically try to ingest as much information as you can, and try to also just develop a good general knowledge. So you at least have like a rough lay of the land of the knowledge landscape. Try to learn a little bit about a lot of things. Because you might not know what you're really interested in. How would you know what you're really interested in if you at least aren't doing a peripheral exploration broadly of the knowledge landscape? Man's search for meaning.
Isn't the whole thing a search for meaning?
Yeah, what's the meaning of life and all, But just generally, like I said, I would encourage people to read broadly in many different subject areas, and then try to find something where there's an overlap of your talents and what you're interested in. So people may be good at something, or they may have skill at a particular thing, but they don't like doing it. Mm-hmm. So you want to try to find a thing where that's a good combination of the things that you're inherently good at, but you also like doing.
And reading is a super fast shortcut to figure out where are you both good at it, you like doing it, and it will actually have positive impact.
Well, you got to learn about things somehow. So reading, But I put a lot of stock and certainly have a lot of respect for someone who puts in an honest day's work to do useful things, and just generally to have like not a zero sum mindset, or like have more of a grow the pie mindset. Like if you sort of say like when we see people like perhaps including some very smart people kind of taking an attitude of like doing things that seem like morally questionable, it's often because they have at a base sort of axiomatic level a zero sum mindset, and they, without realizing it, they don't realize they have a zero sum mindset, or at least they don't realize it consciously. And so if you have a zero sum mindset, then the only way to get ahead is by taking things from others. If it's like if the pie is fixed, then the only way to have more pie is to take someone else's pie. But this is false. Like obviously the pie has grown dramatically over time, the economic pie. So in reality, you can have so overuse this analogy. You can have there's a lot of pie.
Yeah,
pie is not fixed.
Yes.
So you really want to make sure you're not operating without realizing it from a zero sum mindset.
There's a whole generation coming through who seem really sad about the future. What would you say to them?
Well, I think if you want the future to be good, you must make it so. Take action to make it good, and it will be.